Are live.
Not live yet.
Yes, we are. We are live. Hi, Tim and Donna Avery with V2TV, and we are live. What we are not live on yet is X. So we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to say hello to the ones that are on right now with YouTube and with Instagram and with Facebook. So welcome, you guys. I know that you saw that we previously have been able to discuss things with a lot of government stuff. You've seen Tim making sure that people are aware of the debate that is
Who's ready
tomorrow.
for debate tonight?
Yeah. That's
Debate's
right.
tonight.
It's tonight.
Like debate's night.
And so I feel like we've been in this perpetual planning of presidential debate time with Tim Avery as my wonderful host. And I am Donna Avery, the co-host. I just wanted to say hello to those that are on. Drop a comment because we definitely want to test everything and make sure that we can see your comments. Put a hands up, say hello, drop a comment. We're going to be discussing actually September 11th.
Yes.
Okay, so we've tried to stay ahead of everything and it's all blurring together, but we wanted to discuss September 11th. So we've got some questions for you guys, so stick around. We want to discuss September 11th. And so I know you're excited about the presidential debate tonight.
Yes, I am. And I think it's coming 9:30 tonight. And so our goal is to get this thing live streamed somehow. So that's why we're just kind of running through some more tests to see that. So just put in a subscribe. Put in the comment below if you can hear us loud and clear. So I got other things going in my mind right now. So it's been great. So, we want to be able to make sure this is a platform that we can kind of discuss and share. So I believe that as the moderators were saying, what the rules are is that they'll have 2 breaks, and in between those breaks, we'll kind of recap. We'll be taking notes the whole time during the debate, and just kind of taking notes of what's being said and spoken and shared. And then during those break times, we'll still be on live, and we'll kind of discuss some of those things. And we want you guys to chime in those moments too about, what it is that you guys are getting. How's the debate going at that point? Because there's 2 breaks and stuff, and so. That's an opportunity for you guys to kind of chime in, and we can dialogue and conversate on what's being said and spoken during the debate. Some wins, some losses, what was said. All that stuff. So please join us for the live stream. Like I said, we're going to have that going, hopefully without any problems and things like that. So that's why we're trial and erroring right now for later tonight. So. Anyways, but today, tomorrow is 9/11, and so we wanted to kind of do a broadcast. A live stream to talk about 9/11.
Yeah, which is known as Patriot Day. It's actually a national day of remembrance, so Patriot Day. And one of the things that I was discussing with Tim earlier is it's just so interesting. If put the comment if you can remember where you were at 9/11. We've got some slides we're going to go over here with you, but I want you to remember 9/11 with us, and we want to hear from you. So start typing away in the chat where you were at 9/11. One of the things that we wanted to really be able to discuss with you is, I feel like with so much of the shift in social media and specifically generations, we're now seeing an era that is running a lot of social media, and they're on the forefront, and they're a generation that has many of them have actually were birthed into during 9/11 and or just that very year or the post year. And so what I've noticed is that it's in that era where you're kind of seeing it a little bit forgotten, if I'm honest. And it really kind of made me sad, because I just think back to I wonder what the people felt like in previous, whether it was wars or events that a lot of lives were lost. And I guess there's obviously we move on and but do we remember? Do we learn a lesson from what's happened? And right now I know that as we go on through these slides, we have a lot of questions, because I think a lot of people like to discuss where we were when it happened.
Yeah.
And I want to hear that from you guys. I know I had shared on YouTube where I was when it happened. And actually, where were you, Tim, when it happened?
I was actually just got stationed at my first duty station in Hawaii. And so I can give you the quick little story about that. I got, a knock at our dorms, or our barracks, I should say it that way, our barrack doors. And somebody was like banging on our, the door super early in the morning. It was like, and they come banging on the door. Hey, man, we're being attacked. We're being attacked. And I was like, what? I thought somebody was playing a joke, or playing a prank, because, you're young and dumb. You play pranks and stuff like that on your other people, or your friends and stuff like that. He goes, no, you got to get out of bed. We got to get to the ship. Got to get to the ship.
Yeah.
And so, and then, so wide-eyed and bushy tail, trying to get dressed and all that stuff and head to the base, and, head to the ship, excuse me. And when I got to the ship, it was like everything had shifted and changed. Like the posture of our security had changed. Like prior to that, there was like nobody had guns, it was just a person at a gate, and it was like, just checkpoints that you just go to talk to, so they're kind of just guarded without any weapons. And so, but now when I walked to our gate, like the gate was armed guard with somebody fully dressed out with like helmet, body armor, in an M16, just guarding the gate, and just checking IDs and everything like that. So everything like just shifted right off the bat, So put in the comments below, like, do you remember where you were at, what you were doing in that moment when you found out this news? And so I went into the skin of the ship, inside the ship, and like they had the TVs on and they're talking about the 9/11 and like the first tower had got hit. And then they're talking about it was a plane that hit it and all this other stuff. And, and then they were talking about other things. And all of a sudden you saw the other plane come in and then hit the second building. And then, all those things just kind of happened so quickly. And I was maybe in the military for like, I don't know, 6 months, because I had, I got in August. I was maybe under a year, because I had just got in, just a year, because I got in August 2000, went through boot camp, got to my A school, and then assigned to my first ship. And that's where I was. So I was assigned to my first ship. And that's what happened for me. And that's where I was. And then, so we were trying to get our ship underway, so we were out of the harbor, because obviously, the posture now for, any type of an American attack is to get out of the harbor, Pearl Harbor, because obviously what happened in Pearl Harbor in December 1942. So, so then we're just trying to get our ship underway and out of potential being attacked as well. So that's where I was. And I know, honey, you have an amazing story, like a firsthand account, because you were talking to somebody on the phone with somebody who was in one of the buildings, right?
Yeah. So it was interesting because and as I'm thinking about it, I was actually on the phone, which is ironic because I was on the phone with downtown Manhattan, from North Carolina, from an e-commerce. It was actually one of my first e-commerce businesses that I worked with. And I was on the phone calls a lot. And actually the interesting thing is that this particular day, instead of doctors, I had lawyers this day. And I was calling and I was discussing, they had high status doctors, high status lawyers that I talked to. And this particular day it got shifted to lawyers. And so I called one, and he was, it was my first call at like 8 o'clock. Wow. And he was on the phone for like a few minutes. And then all of a sudden his whole demeanor took a shift, and we were into some lengthy conversation. So for his demeanor to change so quickly without saying a word, I mean, he literally it sounded like he just stopped talking, literally. I mean, like you could hear the shock through the phone, in other words. So really, to be able to sit there and go, sir, are you okay? Are you there? And I could just hear sheer panic in his voice. And it just still to this day takes me right back to that moment. But I said, can you tell me what's going on? And he was like, you could tell he was trying to process. He's like, I'm looking out my window right now, and the World Trade Center has just been hit. And he was like screaming, and then he was like quiet, and then he was like screaming, and I was just like, you know, I was trying to process this on a phone call all of a sudden. So I said, how, you know, are you, what do you mean it's been hit? Like, how? He goes, and as he starts telling me how he thinks it's been hit, because he didn't know he was assuming it was a bomb. And as he starts telling me this, he begins to tell me to, he starts screaming all over again. He said, oh my gosh, again, they hit the other one. They hit the other one. I gotta go. And he said, go turn the television on, the television on. And I was just like, what hit the World Trade Center? And so now I was a military spouse at that time, previous marriage, Marine Corps, and there was an immediate shift also on that base. And when I mean immediate, I mean within seconds, the spouses next to me already knew that they weren't going to talk to their spouses, because it just closes down to the Marine Corps that day. And so they immediately went into deployment, basically. Wow. And of course, most bases go into threat con A.
Oh yeah, they shut down.
They shut down.
Gone in or out.
And so so it was very surreal, and to not at that point not know just how much our lives were going to shift, because I was in a huge building and there was no television to us at the time. And so yeah, I was just really trying to and we didn't have the phones we have today. So, trying to work from a flip phone at the time, and which was highly advanced, might I add.
The Razor flip phones.
They were highly advanced.
In demand.
But you know what? Like the one wife next to me, she sat next to me, in her face when I told her, because I'm not thinking at the time, it did not dawn on me that my girlfriend next to me, I know she's from New York.
Yeah.
But I'm just in shock of what I just heard. And it's not even hitting me that you're about to tell somebody from New York and not know exactly like how much that affects her. I looked at her and she went like ghostly white, and she was like, my brother's in that building.
Wow. Dang.
So now I'm like, Lord, this day's like, I have already seen myself in a number of pickles. All right. Can we just, and so that's how I felt like so many Americans probably felt that way that morning. And so, we just want to hear from you. And I think that, as we go forward with the next question, it's really, and I know we're also going to be doing a broadcast shortly with a friend that you guys are going to get to see, where we're just as a heads up, where we're talking about things with children, and as Halloween season is coming up, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But I know I got a couple there, so I definitely think that with this next slide, we definitely want to talk about, like, we want to honor those who died. We want to honor those who have passed, because that day took a lot. There's a lot of lives lost.
Yeah, police officers, first responders. Here people died, heroes. There's people who lost their life. That were just in the building. Trying to get out. There's. So we want to honor those people. I mean, there's so many people who lost their lives. There's so many people who were impacted by a lost loved one. So. Comment below if you lost someone during that. We want to shout out their name. If you want to put their name in the comments, we want to honor those. We want to obviously honor all the New York firefighters, all the New York paramedics, first responders that responded so bravely to go in and try to and attempt to rescue some folks. And there are people who did get out. There's stories and documentaries. I'm sure that you've seen some of these documentaries, and maybe they'll play some tomorrow, whatever.
Right. But
there are some people who actually did get out. And then there's some horrible stories of what happened that, people just stayed because they didn't realize the imminent danger that they were actually in, and so, there's all of that, but we want to honor those who died, and, just, be respectful for, the people who did die. And so here are some names on this little thing here. But if you want to put your, maybe the person that you might have lost or anything like that, we just want to, honor them by putting their name in here. If you want to put them in this comment below or in the live stream, so you could do that. So we want to be honoring of that.
Yeah. And so, how I'm speaking of the ones who have passed on, that last situation that I explained to, her brother unfortunately did pass on. He actually lived for I'm wanting to say a week. And so they had actually gotten to him, but of course, he was just brain dead at that point. And so it actually taught me a lot about pastoring in the marketplace at that point, because there was just so much involved in that next month with the wives that were involved, with the leaders of even a business place that lost half of the spouses all of a sudden, because when a situation like that happens, Tim can testify to this, in a military base, a lot of times, what do the wives do? They go home. They run home to their parents, their families, when their spouse is sent away. So immediately impacts a marketplace in a military town. And so that was it was very just surreal to be the one that contacted so many people as a result of going back and talking to people who were actually still left, there to work and trying to stay busy. And even the more or less the lawyer, I actually called him back to see how he was doing, and it was just a surreal conversation that was pretty interesting and special. And so so as we move on,
so we just again put those put the name put it in the comments the names of those whose lives are lost. We want to honor those. And so anyway, so let's
we have people calling in.
Yes, we have people calling in.
Calling in from all that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. So, obviously this has had a tremendous impact in our culture, in our society. There are things that have changed since 9/11. So, put in the comments of the things that you've noticed that has changed since 9/11. I mean, just off the bat, I mean, I know that, going through TSA has drastically changed. I mean, prior to 9/11, and those of you who were born post 9/11, did you know that, you could go to the checkout, I mean, the up to the gate without a ticket prior to 9/11, like to let your, to send off your loved one onto the plane and, to say goodbye all the way up to the gate before they got on the plane.
Those were the days.
And so I remember doing that. I remember my family doing that. Like, they go all the way to the gate with me after coming back from school.
Who remembers that? Yeah. I used to fly solo by myself. Even Sophia did. So we used to fly alone as children to the opposite coast. And, gosh, I mean, at one point, I think there was that was not even a problem. You could, I don't know if you can you put in the comments if you can still do that today? But I thought that was pretty amazing. And then, after 9/11, it instantly changed, obviously security. But you know what I think now? So as we go to the next slide, I think that this is super, super important. I really think that I want to discuss open borders, because as I think about tonight's debate and I think about 9/11, I just wonder, put a hands up if I'm not the only one that now questions nearly everything that we've been told by the media and in so many different areas. Hats off to the Tucker Carlsons and the reporters that have actually, sacrificed it all to step away and be truthful news. But I just think now, as I'm looking back, when we see where, for example, a shot or a diagnosis in 2020 can make everything shift. All right. And then it actually unveils all of a sudden a new normal, if you will, which is totally abnormal. But anyway, so what happens when something happens like this that ironically it's like insert fear here, right? And I just wonder if at that moment it was I would hate to think that any of it was some sort of premeditation, but the more I look at things, it makes me really question, especially if you look at the old videos that people have questioned that it looks like a demolition. And so, I mean, it does seem rather eerie that there's no black box found. There's no, and we can say, well, everything burned to the ground. I mean, but did it really?
Wow.
I mean, but did it really? Did all of it? And I just think it's interesting that as a result of that, now, no one would question if TSA is like, everything is shifted. And so I just wonder, because it's like now you're seeing, I think Tulsi Gabbard was saying that she gets checked. Her and her husband got checked at TSA like 10 times. And it was like some crazy amount, 8 times over and over and over again.
Yeah, she's been put on a list. Yeah, that she's been put
which
on
is
a
crazy.
Terrorist watch list or something.
Which is crazy. So I mean, I just wonder, because when you start seeing situations like this, you're like, okay, they didn't used to have that much power, meaning TSA. Like, and so had we actually been vetting who we're putting in planes in the first place, it just makes me wonder, like, where did we move the red flags back? How far back did we move the red flags, and why did we ever not have them? I can remember as a child even thinking, as I'm flying, like, that was way easy. Like, yeah. I mean, like, if there's just so much that's interesting to me that I'm just like shocked, because it doesn't seem like there was any check for vetting process. And then all of a sudden it went drastic overnight, which I can understand why. If we look at the real big picture of the why, it just makes me wonder, did we actually have, does open borders always look like land? Yeah. Of course it's sea and air. When that when you're married to prior Navy and you've worked with definitely all of the our military in different areas, land, sea, and air is a border. I mean, they all have their own borders, and I just wonder where our borders open then. I think that is going to be very important to hear on tonight's debate.
Yeah, because that's going to be one of the most talked about things for sure.
But I'm more concerned that we only talk about the wall and we don't talk also about airspace, because like, these are things that need to be discussed. Because we do need a wall.
You mean when you mean like airspace, what do you mean?
I mean, like we need to have a vetting process, period.
Like when people get on the plane?
When people get on the plane, when
like
people
more than TSA, or what do you mean?
Way more than, like, that TSA shouldn't be the vetting process, in my opinion. It should be how are people just so easily slinging out visas to come to America? Don't tell me that the TSA agent gets to check, because in my opinion, if you're letting TSA, I mean, and I'm sure they're only going by the rules they've been given, but I have watched people come in that, I mean, I had to work harder with my own passport than they did. And I'm thinking, why didn't they get checked? I mean, and have no visa.
Yeah.
I watched. Like, so I'm just wondering about the visa process, like the open borders, the open airways, and the open sea. I mean, because there's cruise ships too that come in. There's ships that come into our ports, and why aren't we checking?
So you're talking about like Homeland Security, like
Homeland Security as a whole. Like, give me just 2 weeks. So what I'm saying is, like, I don't understand how people are actually getting on ships and getting on planes and so easily getting, like, I think TSA should be the very last door. I think that they should have had way more.
Like more red tape.
Way more red tape before they could even come through. Because if I want to go to another nation, I need to have a certain visa. I need to have a certain this and a that to even get into a nation that's like not America. I mean, no offense, I'm not, but like we need to have beefed up resources and processes for, in my opinion, being able to even come to America.
Yeah.
Not TSA. That should be the last. That should be like the screen door that hits you at the back, but like it should not be the process. Yeah, it should not be the only process.
Yeah, there's definitely needs to be a beefed up process, for vetting people coming in through, obviously you wanted your background checks, but again, when you have open borders like this, I mean, where people just pour in by the thousands and thousands every day. I mean, who's going through and vetting all these people as they're coming through? Nobody. When they just let these guys in, give them some money, set them up in a hotel, give them some food stamps and give them, thousands of dollars a month to live off of. I mean, we don't know who any of these people are. If you look at these faces in here, this is just a photo of the border, but we don't know who these people are. We don't know if they're terrorists. We don't know who they are. But see, the thing is because of these open borders, we've heard horror stories already of people being raped, being murdered by illegal immigrants. It's been documented already. And because we don't know who's coming through our border. So I strongly agree that, we need to, revamp our whole border process to make sure that people go through the right process, and also at the same time get these people out of our country as soon as possible. And I think the only person out of the candidates that are running right now is going to do that and has promised to do that is President Trump. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see. We'll talk more about that tonight on the debate and see what's going to be handled during that question and answer time.
So you're going to have this.
So we're going to have this discussion tonight.
We're going to be on. We're going to be live
and talking about this. So stay tuned for that. Come back, check it back in later tonight. With us, and we're going to talk about that. But
yeah, so I mean, I just want to hear from you guys. Make sure you put in the comments where you were, what you think about what we've discussed, at least while, I mean, I bind review any of social media trying to put this anywhere. It'll stay on.
Yeah.
Come on, Facebook.
Share, like, subscribe.
Share, put it everywhere. And
be a part of it, yeah.
Yeah, we have, for those of you who are not aware, we're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Instagram. So we're on Facebook as at Visual Testament. So if you go to at Visual Testaments on any of the platforms, you'll find us there. Let us know if you're following us on the other platforms. And we do look forward to hopping on with you guys tonight for the presidential debate and having a really great discussion in between and hearing from you guys on the comments. Like, we want to have a discussion like you're in the living room with us. Of course, we're in Houston, Texas today. So make sure you jump on. We don't want to have Houston, we have a problem. We want to have all of you on in the presidential debate with us, and let's hear from you guys as it's going along.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys tonight. Thanks for tuning in.